Next, let us see this theorem which states that the prime field of F, that is either isomorphic to Q, the field of rationals, right, or it is either isomorphic to this integers mod P field, integers mod P, right, where P is some prime number. So this theorem, it give you a clear cut idea that the only kind of prime fields, they are either Q or this integers modulo P. So let us see how. We have to prove that any prime field of F, that is isomorphic to either Q or to the integers modulo P. So for that, what we are doing, we are assuming that F is the given field, and we are assuming that P represents the prime subfield of F. So now we have to prove that this P, that is either isomorphic to this field of rationals, or it is isomorphic to integers mod P. So this is our aim, and this is what we are to prove here. So for that, we are to prove F is isomorphic either to Q or to the integers modulo P, where what is this P? P is a prime number. So what we are doing is, we have to proving this to be an isomorphism, we have to define a mapping from this set to this set, or which relates these two, such that the mapping is both 1, 1 on 2, and it is also homomorphism. If all these three conditions are satisfied by that particular mapping, we will say our mapping or our fields, they are isomorphic to each other. So for that, we are defining this mapping. This mapping says that we are defining the mapping by the symbol theta. This is defined from Z to P. What is Z? Z is the set of integers. This is the set of integers. And what is P? P we have considered to be the prime subfield of F. So because this is prime subfield of F, so obviously it would be contained in F. So this is what we are saying, and we are defining this mapping through this, that theta of n, where n is what? It is a integer. This is nothing but n multiplied by e, where what is this e? This is the multiplicative identity of the given field. So we have associated this number theta, this mapping theta, from to be NE, where what is this NE? This represents the characteristic of the given field. So this is the catch over here. So first thing that we have to show here is that theta is a homomorphism. So how theta is a homomorphism? We will prove this by proving that this mapping theta preserves the structure. How does it preserve the structure? So when you apply theta on n1 plus n2, you should obtain theta of n1 plus theta of n2. And again, when you apply theta on n1 into n2, it should be equivalent to theta of n1 multiplied by theta of n2. Let's see how. So by definition, because we had theta of n defined to be n into multiplicative identity, so theta of n1 plus n2, that should be equivalent to n1 plus n2 into e. So now we can simply multiply using this distributive law. We can write this to be n1 into e plus n2 into e. So now what is n1 into e? It is theta of n1, and what is n2 of e? That is theta of n2. So this first part is proved very easily. For the second part, we again apply this definition, theta of n1 into n2, that is n1 into n2 into e. So that is n1 into n2 into e. So now you can write using this associativity, you can shift this brackets to this side, so it would be n2e. What is n2e? It is theta of n2. And because n1 is some element of the field, you can write this n1 to be n1 into e. There is no problem, because e is the multiplicative identity. So this n1 now becomes n1 into e. And by definition, what is n1 into e? n1 into e would be theta of n1 according to this definition. So it would be equal to theta of n1. So that we have proved that this mapping theta is a homomorphism. So how this mapping is defined? This mapping is defined using the characteristic of the field. So in the first case, we only have two kinds of characteristics. In the first case, if the characteristic of the field is equal to 0, in that case what would happen? For which field we say the characteristic is equal to 0? When we have the field as the field of rationals. So for this we have the characteristic as 0, because here in this case the multiplicative identity is 1, and when you add 1 so many times, you won't be able to get 0 back. So there is no number here such that you multiply that number by 1 so that you get 0. So the characteristic here is 0, right? And in the other case, is whenever you have the characteristic as p. So this is where p is some prime number. This is the case whenever you have zp as the field. So integers modulo p. So in this case, what is the case? The case here is whenever you have the multiplicative identity as 1, suppose we are talking about z5. So in this case, when you add 1, how many times? 5 times. So you would have 5, right? And this is nothing but this is 0 mod 5, because we are now in integers mod 5. So therefore, when you add this 1, how many times? 5 times, you will have 0 as the final answer. So this 0 represents that now 5, that is the characteristic for Z5. So P is the characteristic for ZP. So this is what we already know. So now here we will see for the case whenever characteristic of f is equal to 0. So for that, what we are doing, we take some element from kernel of theta. What was our theta? Theta was our mapping defined from the set of integers to this prime field P. So what kind of elements they are present in kernel theta? All those elements such that theta of n is equal to 0. So all those elements n are said to be present in kernel theta. So this is the definition for kernel theta. So now we assume that this n belongs to kernel theta. So that means theta of n is equal to 0 by definition of kernel theta. And what is theta n? We have defined this theta n, this to be n into e. So we have applied the same definition here. And because the characteristic of f is equal to 0, so I have told you, so you cannot add n, you cannot add 1 to obtain 0. So in this case, n should be equivalent to 0 in order to obtain n into e is equal to 0, because this multiplicative identity is itself not equal to 0. So if n is equal to 0 and we have assumed this n to be present in kernel theta, so that means kernel theta only contains the element 0 within it. And this is a theorem that if you have the kernel of any mapping containing only this 0 element or the identity element within it, then that mapping theta is 1, 1. So this is a result. So according to this result, we have 1, 1, and we have just shown proof that we also have homomorphism for this particular mapping. So now we say theta, this mapping theta, that is both 1, 1 and homomorphism. If it is 1, 1 and homomorphism, so by definition this is an embedding, because we call any mapping which is 1, 1 and homomorphism to be an embedding. So if this is an embedding, so that means theta, it was defined from Z to P. So what would be the image of this mapping? It would be theta of Z, right? So we would say Z would be isomorphic to the image of Z, and the image of Z is present in this set P. So say this is the image of Z. So this is what we have shown. So say this is the equation number 1. So next, because we know this set of integers, that is an integral domain. So first of all, recall what is an integral domain. Integral domain is a non-commutative ring in which the product of two non-zero elements is non-zero. So it is a commutative ring in which the product of two non-zero elements is non-zero. So if you take A not equal to 0, B not equal to 0, then the product AB would also be not equal to 0. And what is a quotient field? Quotient field, that is an integral domain. Quotient field of some integral domain is the smallest field in which it is embedded. So this is the result. So from here we can say that if Q dash represents the quotient field of this integral domain theta of z, because z was proven to be isomorphic to theta of z being an embedding, therefore we can say that this field of rationals is isomorphic to Q dash. That Q dash represents the quotient fields of theta z, so that means this QZ would be isomorphic to the field of rationals, right? So next we say this Q dash, because this is the smallest field which is contained in theta of z, and theta of z is contained in P, therefore this Q dash is also contained in P, and P in effect is contained in F. So that means we say P is the smallest subfield of Q. No, not this is the case. We are saying Q dash is contained in theta of z, and theta of z is contained in P, and P, because it was the prime field of this field F, so it is contained in F. So say this is a equation number 2. But however, we know, because we have in the question in the very starting assumed this P to be the smallest subfield of F. So in this case P would be contained in Q dash, because this is the smallest field and this is some other field. This is some other field. So say this is equation number 3. So from equation 2 and from equation 3, once we say this Q dash is contained in P, once we say P is contained in Q dash. So from 2 and 3 we can say they are equal, and we have just shown that this Q dash is isomorphic to Q. This is from some previous result. You should go and check this result all by yourself. What is this result? How the field of quotients of an integral domain is isomorphic to the field of rationals. Okay, so from here we say that this field P is isomorphic to the field of rationals. So this is the first part that we were asked to prove. That means whenever the characteristic of the field F is equal to 0, in that case we have the prime subfield isomorphic to the field of rationals. So this is the first case. In the second case, we shall prove that whenever the characteristic of F is equal to P, where P is prime number, in that case your prime subfield, that would be isomorphic to the field of integers mod P. So this is what we are intended to prove here. So for that we have shown that the mapping theta, that is a homomorphism. Remember, we have shown that this preserves the structure, and now we will see what about the kernel of this mapping in this particular case. So we assume that it contains an element n, so we can write theta of n to be 0 by the definition of kernel. And what is theta of n? Theta is defined to be n into e, so this is equal to 0. Now from here we cannot conclude n is equal to 0. Why? Because the characteristic here is P and not equal to 0. So that means here we can say, as in this case, that means n into, in this particular example we can write this to be 5 into 1 is equal to 0 mod 5. So that means we can say this number n, which is n here, that would be that is a multiple of this prime number P or 5 in this particular case, right? So here also this P divides n, or we can say P is a multiple of, n is a multiple of P. So if n is a multiple of P, so that means we can write n to be some number into P, or we can say n belongs to the ideal generated by P. So that means some element n, where was it? It was present in the kernel of theta, and it now belongs to this ideal generated by the prime number P. So we can say the kernel theta is a subfield of this ideal, right? Or it is a subset, not subfield. So next task is, say this is our equation number 1. So next task is we take some element from P and we'll try to prove it belongs to kernel theta. So we assume M belongs to the ideal generated by P. So we can write this M to be some multiple of P. So P multiplied by R, where R is some integer, right? So we can apply theta on the both sides. So we have theta of M, that is equal to theta of PR, and by definition of theta PR, this would be equal to PR into E, and again using the associativity we can write this to be P into R into E, and because P is equal to P into E, because E is the multiplicative identity, so we can write PE instead of P. So we have PE into RE, and by definition PE, that is equal to 0. Why? Because P is the characteristic here. Characteristic of F is P. So P, so basically P into E would be equal to 0 mod P. That is what we are saying. And this we are only left with RE. So 0 multiplied by RE would be nothing but 0. So from here we say that if you take any element from P and you apply theta onto that, so you would have this to be 0. So that means you obtain the element theta of M as equal to 0. So from here you say theta of M is equivalent to 0. So that means this becomes the definition for kernel theta. So that means you took some element from this ideal generated by P, and now because theta of M is equal to 0, that means this element M would belong to kernel of theta. So that means you started with M belonging to this ideal generated by P, and then you reached to this particular thing. So that means the ideal generated by P is contained in kernel of theta. So this is what we have proved here. So this is equation number 2, right? So equation 1 was this one, kernel theta is contained in the ideal generated by P, and now we have this condition that the kernel generated by P is contained in kernel theta. So from here we conclude that this ideal generated by P is equivalent to the kernel of theta. Now because P is a prime number, therefore whatever is the ideal that is generated by P, that would be maximal ideal. This is the some previous results based on ideals. Now because this ideal is a maximal ideal in Z, so we can say Z divided by this ideal is a field. This is also a result that if you have some integral domain and if you find some maximal ideal, then the quotient obtained by the division is a field. So now we can apply the fundamental theorem on the mapping theta, because it is a homomorphism which is defined from Z to P as the image of this mapping, the image of theta, that would be isomorphic to the domain set, that is Z, divided by whatever is the ideal generated from P. So this is the result of fundamental theorem of homomorphism on this mapping theta. So from here we got that theta of Z is nothing but this. And what is this? This is a field. That means this theta of Z is also a field. If theta of Z is a field, so that means Z divided by this maximal ideal P is also a field. So theta of Z is also field. So because this is a field, theta of Z is field, and being an image of theta, theta was defined from Z to P, because being an image of theta, theta of Z would be contained in P. So we have said theta of Z is contained in P, and because P was a prime subfield of F, so that means this would be a subfield of F. So from here we can say that this is one inequation, this is one equation, and because P was assumed to be the smallest subfield of F, so this P would be contained in theta of Z. So this is another equation. So using the inequality, using the containment from here, theta of Z is contained in P, and here we are saying P is contained in theta of Z, so these two are equal. And what was theta of Z? Theta of Z was nothing but Z divided by this the ideal generated by P. Therefore, we can write this P to be isomorphic to Z mod the ideal generated by P. So this is the result that we have, and this is what we were intended to prove here, right?